Rotate your phone. You can't turn while recording. Hi there. Linda Stern again from the Stern Family Art Collection. How's everybody? Happy Easter. Today we have a special treat for you. This painting by Vernon Jay Morse, who lived from 1898 to 1965, is called Easter Morning. Let's turn to John Stern to tell you more about the painting.
Hello and happy Easter to everybody. As Linda said, this is a painting that was done in 1934 by Vernon Morse. It's called Easter Sunday, and it is a typical scene painting of the Depression era, something that's generally called the California scene or the California regionalism period. Vernon Morse started out as an artist, a painter. He went to school and learned to paint, and he was in the second generation of artists of the California Impressionist style, and as such he hit the Depression. So during the Depression, very few people were able to sell paintings, plus the cost of the materials and the cost of the paint and the canvas became too much to bear. So a lot of younger artists turned to watercolor, and in this case Vernon Morse turned to watercolor and wood engraving. This was done in 1934 at the height of the Depression, and it shows the St. Rita Catholic Church in Sierra Madre, California. This is the old church. It no longer looks like that. It was completely rebuilt into a much more modern church. But this is a beautiful early Sunday morning scene, a typical street scene, neighborhood scene, typical of the California scene period. The earlier period, say before the Depression, was characterized by a lot of beautiful landscapes and very much in the French Impressionist style. When the Depression hit in 1930, most artists turned inward. They painted what they did every day, where they lived. So you see a lot of street scenes, a lot of people in line, you see factory scenes, and you also see farm scenes because a lot of people left the city and went back to the farm. So this is typical of that period where it's ordinary people doing ordinary things, and in this case it's going to church on Easter Sunday. I counted 18 individual figures plus one dog. There's 7 automobiles. There's also the priest welcoming the people as they go in. You walk down, there's houses. There's even a little heart that was carved into this eucalyptus trees with some people's initials. So it's just everyday, normal neighborhood type of thing. One of the most important things about this painting is the tremendous sense of light that comes. And that is done by proper handling of color. A famous art teacher and famous artist named Hans Hofmann often said, in nature, light creates the color, but in art, color creates the light. So the terrific effect of the strong light is due to the proper handling of color. In this case, you see the roofs. You know they're made of the same material. This is in a shadow, this is in bright sunlight, but they're very, very different colors. But they're done properly so that the viewer thinks it's the same color, but this part is in bright sun and that part is in deep shade. And if you look at the people as they're walking, they're talking to each other, they're relating. Here's a mother and a daughter. There's a couple of people, there's the dog, and they have beautiful blue tinted shadows because that's the way Impressionism did their shadows. But the subject is really not so much an Impressionist subject as it is a California scene subject. Vernon Morse, as I said, because of the Depression, he could not afford to paint paintings this size because there's a lot of materials involved. And then at the end, you have to charge a lot more to sell the painting. So not too far after this, and this was probably painted for an exhibition, because the artist knew that an exhibition would have a lot of people looking at his art, and he would be able to sell more. But he did become a watercolor painter after this, and then he turned to wood engraving. And those are much cheaper to produce, and you can sell it for a lot less. He ended up in Burbank running an antique store, and he died in 1965. So a very interesting story. Again, typical California scene, everyday things happening. In spite of the Depression, there are people doing what they would have done otherwise, and in this case, it's Easter morning, Easter Sunday, and this was painted in 1934.
Well, I see how interesting it is to contrast to today. Look how beautifully the people dress for Sunday Easter church. The women all have their hats on, and the kids have their Sunday best. I wonder today what you would see. Of course, everybody's at home in their t-shirts today, so they're not doing this scene. Hopefully next year they will again. Anyway, it's a lovely painting, and we're very lucky to have it. And that scene period is a great one to study. The Hilbert Museum specializes in that type of art, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, and this is a wonderful place to see more of this type of painting.
I know they have an exhibit up now of LA paintings, which unfortunately they're closed, but the Hilbert Museum website has been, Facebook page has been putting up paintings from their collection to show everybody while they're closed. Anyway, a great example of what's called scene painting, which is a little bit after the classic California Impressionist period, but this still shows many characteristics.
One more interesting thing about this painting is that it is backlit, or the French would say contre-jour. You can sell it for more money if you say it's contre-jour rather than backlit. But essentially, most paintings, the artist is sitting and painting and the sun is behind them. So it's lighting the front. In this case, it's the back. The front is being lit, so this is backlit. And that creates light coming towards the artist. And that creates a kind of an effect where there's a lot of light coming around the object. You see here in the trees, the artist has added some white, misty color to signify that the light is coming around the artist and that it is not a direct thing. So when you see the shadows pointing towards the viewer, in this case, and then the subject isn't lit, it's the other side that's being lit, this is the back. So it creates a different effect altogether, a much more, almost a spiritual effect, a kind of a ghostly effect, especially around the images.
Well, it's a beautiful painting, and we're happy to share it with everybody. We hope you enjoy this. And happy Easter, everybody. And we'll see you again at the Stern Family Collection next time.
Bye.